Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. Here we have an 11 spell space swag in Legend League, and this is quite common. You can do this all the time, swag 11 spells. Pretty much an 11 spell space swag a day with this attack strategy. So how is this possible? Well, it's the strongest pairing of heroes and equipments, and then also replacing spells with ice golems. So what do I mean by the strongest pairing of heroes and equipments in the game? Well, it's actually pretty easy. I built this attack strategy around the strongest hero charges in the game, specifically the Archer Queen charge. Why is the Archer Queen charge the strongest hero charge in the game? Well, because she can synergize with the Warden better than any other hero. So let's get into the first attack and I'll show you exactly what I mean. The big downside to an AQ charge, why no one is doing AQ charges at Tunnel 17, is the emergence of more multi-targeting defenses, and the AQ cannot jump over walls. So the AQ, if she cannot reach a multi-target defense because it's behind the wall, she will then walk to the side of the walls and bring her healers within range of these multi-targeting defenses, scatter shots, multi-archer towers, and they will pick off your healers and end your AQ charge. This is why no one's doing it, but this is the way to do an AQ charge at Tunnel 17. We just have to prep the base by removing these dangerous defenses to make an easy AQ charge, and then you'll see just how powerful the AQ charge is. So we're using the Warden in combination with the Flame Flinger. Notice how the Warden is tanking this Expo the entire time. If the Warden was not tanking this Expo, the Flame Flinger could be in danger. Using a few Rocket Loons, and this is what the Rocket Loons are for, prepping the base for the Flame Flinger and the Warden Fireball. So now, since the Flame Flinger removed all the defenses below the Warden, we only need to use one invisibility spell above the Warden to hit our intended target, the scatter shot in the core of this base. So now, Warden has done his job. He has prepped the base for an AQ charge. So now we're sending in some Ice Golems, and the Ice Golems are there to freeze up all these multi-targeting defenses. Multi-targeting defenses are supposed to stop spam, but really they just encourage spam because you need spam to soak up all the hits from the multi-targeting defenses, and that's why the Ice Golems are there. So we send in our BK. BK is to meet up with the AQ and the Warden to help tank for the AQ, but specifically to use his EQ boots to open up access for the AQ to get into the core. Remember, AQ does not jump over walls. So now, as we have the AQ powered by this Warden Rage Gem, she becomes effectively a tank in the core. So while she's tanking these defenses, we send in our RC to do a parallel Spirit Walk. So the RC is just walking here, benefiting from the AQ tanking. However, the AQ walked to the outside this time, but that's perfectly fine. Look at all these defenses. Now we have the Warden with the RC and the AQ underneath the Warden Rage Gem. So they're all doing more damage. They're all getting healed up better because the healers are also underneath the Warden Rage Gem. And this is the best hero synergy in the game. So now we're just encountering the enemy heroes. We waited and saved some headhunters, and we're going to swag 11 spell space. Look at this. It's just insane. And whenever you see this space, just think, it's 11 spell space that you get swag. Pretty much guaranteed on this space every time. So definitely learn this strat. And the goal of this attack strategy is to prep a base with the Warden to make an easy AQ charge, which means coming in from behind the Fire Spitters. Notice this Fire Spitter? It means I want to come in from behind the Fire Spitter because a Fire Spitter will reach your AQ and then kill the healers. And the big problem with an AQ charge compared to a Warden charge is that the AQ has less reach, has less range than the Warden. So for her to reach her targets, she has to walk closer to them, and by walking closer to them, she brings her healers in closer to the fire of the Fire Spitters. So another problem for the AQ charge. However, we are just going to prep these bases for an AQ charge and then absolutely just destroy and demolish these bases. So sending in the Warden here, top right, going to try to get this Fireball to land down here at this 3 o'clock compartment, this Invisibility Spell Tower, which is always a pain. So notice Warden is in range of this Fire Spitter. And since we're trying to swag, we were a little risky there. Now the Warden targets, get the EQs off, eliminate that compartment. And now the Warden, he was still targeting the defenses, so we weren't able to lure him with the AQ. but we will be luring him with the AQ very quickly. Or I shouldn't say luring, but pulling him back. I guess it's still luring. So we're luring, pulling him back right now to the top right where he initially started from. We've created our pathing, sending the BK out in front again to tank, and then to use his EQ boots to give the AQ access to the core. Could have dropped the BK towards this 9 o'clock compartment. That's usually how I do this attack strategy. But I'm hoping that I can get his spiky ball to hit and trigger this 9 o'clock compartment from 12 from the BK. So trying to eliminate some of these defenses, and now notice the pathing. There's no buildings, so that the BK, when he uses a spiky ball, it will hit this 9 o'clock compartment, trigger that invisibility spell tower, and now this section is much more manageable. Flame Flinger is still going. Gonna have super minions come out of the Flame Flinger. Also gonna have some fire mites from the furnaces, or from the one furnace that comes out of the Flame Flinger. And the reason I like to have one furnace with 3 super minions is because the fire mites will oftentimes pull enemy heroes to the fire mites and bring them within closer range of the super minions in the Flame Flinger CC, and this pulls them away from their protective enemy defenses that would otherwise target your super minions. So now we're just doing the exact same thing. We have free rage for the AQ. Remember, back before Rage Gem, you actually had to drop, what, 2-3 rages on your AQ to do your AQ charge, and this way you get free spells. And that's why you're able to swag so many spells, because of the Warden Rage Gem. This is the best hero synergy. It's an AQ charge with a parallel Spirit Walk on the side of your AQ charge to keep the AQ in the core, tanking for your RC. And then if your RC tanks for your AQ, then the Spirit Fox makes the RC invisible, so then the defense can go back, so that the AQ and the RC and the BK and the Ice Golems can all take turns swapping defenses. So by doing this, you encounter defenses that really have no chance of stopping your heroes. So here we have a common base. Notice invisibility spell tower right behind the town hall. But also notice there is a minion prince just in front of the enemy town hall. So we should be able to direct target this town hall with the warden, trigger that spell tower, and then have the warden stall up on the minion prince while the spell tower wears off, so that we can finish out the town hall and get a fireball into the core of this base. And the purpose of getting a fireball into the core is because we want to eliminate at least one fire spitter, because in all these replays that I'll be showing you, I'm always going to be preaching that you need to come in from behind a fire spitter whenever possible. So it looks like Warden is stalled up on this minion prince ahead of time. He's not going to go directly to the town hall, but that's okay. This is why we left that mortar up, because we want the Warden to now target the mortar after he triggered the invisibility spell tower. So notice the mortar is now dead, and it was the perfect timing, because as soon as the mortar died, now the Warden is back on the town hall. And look at this, there's no other defenses interfering with our Warden, so we don't have to use really a single spell. However, because of the timing issue with the Angry Jelly, where we only target defenses, went ahead and used a Rage Gem just to try to remove some more defenses. And notice I was late on that Rage spell, so now I had to use an additional invisibility spell on those builder huts just behind the town hall. So I managed to eliminate the clan castle and at least one fire spitter. So now with this remaining fire spitter, notice how it's highlighted, you can see the range. We are going to come in from behind this fire spitter. So we use our AQ to pull our Warden to the direction to come in from behind the fire spitter, and then BK meets up with our AQ and Warden, so the BK can work into the inside of the base, and then we can use his EQ boots to just absolutely obliterate the walls in the core and just make it so that AQ has access to everything. And then we keep the AQ in the core by doing a parallel spirit walk to the side of her. So notice there's some trash buildings just up here to the top left that could distract the AQ, pull her to the outside of the base. So we send our RC in up there along with a Yeti, some wizards, just to eliminate all those buildings to keep the AQ in the core. This way she can continue to distract defenses for our RC. So then our RC can basically just walk through the base invisible from the Spirit Fox, because the amount of defenses that are going to be shooting the RC while she's not invisible will not be enough to kill her. So we use our RC Rocket Spear on some of these defenses that we can outrange, specifically ricochet cannons, Inferno Towers. Ricochet Cannons are one of the worst defenses in the game for this attack strategy. Why is the Ricochet Cannon one of the worst defenses in the game? Well, two reasons. Because firstly, the Ricochet Cannon can skip from your AQ to your Warden that's supporting your AQ and then kill the Warden very quickly because he has just over half the hit points that the AQ does. And the second shot from the Ricochet Cannon does more damage. So the AQ with high hit points, she will look fine, but your Warden will get toasted by the Ricochet Cannon. Secondly, the Ricochet Cannon will shoot your RC and then skip to your Fox. And you want to keep your Fox alive as fast as possible. It only takes 3-4 shots from Ricochet Cannon to kill your Spear Fox. So that's why when you see a Ricochet Cannon on the outside of the base, always try to save one Ice Golem per Ricochet Cannon if you can. So we got the Warden coming in here. Again, Warden is going to be distracting this Expo to get the Flame Flinger as much value as possible. And that's one of the main things that I look for in a base. As soon as I approach a base, I'm thinking to myself, where can I get the most Flame Flinger value? And notice this Expo was going to eliminate all this Flame Flinger value up here at the top left. So just going to drop in the Warden to distract the Expo for the Flame Flinger. And now notice this base, got a bunch of trash buildings on the outside. Sending in a couple archers between the Warden and the Flame Flinger because we do not want the AQ to path towards the Flame Flinger. We want to let the Flame Flinger get all that value by itself. So take a look at the scatter shot just above this Flame Spinner in the core of this base. If we hit that scatter shot, we'll be able to get the entire core and the enemy clan castle. But notice the Warden, he's just about 1 o'clock right now, so we need to eliminate these defenses and get him in line. So we use the AQ and the invisibility spells to pull him directly in line with that scatter shot. And this is a pro trick that you can do. You can use your AQ to pull your Warden in line with the target for the fireball, which is absolutely just insane. So now Yeti to funnel, make sure our BK goes in, wall breaker, opening up this section for the BK. Giant taking these hits from the monolith. And BK, we're just going to let him tank for the AQ, help eliminate this enemy BK. And we even got an Ice Golem trying to get up into the core right now. BK still hasn't went to ability. He's about to hit the Town Hall. So now we're sending in some Ice Golems down here at 6. And notice we send in the RC right behind the Ice Golem because the Ice Golem does not do any damage by itself. So we need something else to kill the distracted defenses. And that can either be your RC, it can be Yetis, it can be Wizards, or it can be your Rocket Moons. So notice this Ice Golem over here at the bomb tower. That Ice Golem would have stayed there the entire time. And we want the Ice Golem to get as close to these multi-targeting defenses, which are the most dangerous as possible, as fast as we can. So you can use a Wizard, Rocket Moons, Yeti, Valk, any of those troops just to help speed up the process. So now this base is wrecked, and yeah, I highly recommend you guys give this a try. And the best thing about this attack strategy is that by learning how to replace these spells with hero synergy and Ice Golems, by doing that, instead of swaying the spells at the end, you can invest them heavy at the beginning of, let's say, a war attack, specifically base recognized attack strategy to do Skelly Donut. You can do Zap, you can do Blizzard, you can do Sneaky Goblins for the Town Hall. This attack strategy just opens up so many of the old school tricks. So I highly recommend you learn this attack strategy. And I will be making a video very shortly on all of the use cases that you can do for specific bases, because I don't think it gets any more fun than this. I've been doing this for ever since I basically got the giant arrow and the fireball, and I haven't found a single strat that I think is anywhere close to as fun as this. So sending in some headhunters to eliminate this BK. Now Warden deals with the BK, trying to hit this a crusher mortar in the center of the base. So we're going to have to drop a rage to help the Warden get through this minion prince. And a lot of times, especially if you're not too worried about swag, go ahead and invest at least one rage spell on your Warden charge. A lot of times I'm trying to save and conserve them to get as many swag spells at the end of the raid, but just go ahead and just invest them. Because see, I'm trying to swag spells and I end up missing the fireball. So By not investing that one invisibility spell to cover up that section and trying to swag as many spells as possible, I might now, in fact, I probably will end up using more spells and having less swag than if I wouldn't have tried to swag at the beginning. Because just like Ben Franklin always said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and that is definitely the case when it comes to this attack strategy. If you try to use all your spells at the end, a lot of times it's not going to work as well as if you use them at the very beginning. So BK meets up with the AQ Warden again. We have a Ice Golem into the core of the base that the BK EQ boots gave access to this monolith, or to this multi-Inferno Tower. So now the AQ steps up, and the AQ has range of the Town Hall. So look at how amazing that is. And notice this Ice Golem up here to the left. Ice Golem was stuck on that mortar, would have been stuck on that mortar the entire raid, but we use a Yeti to try to push that Ice Golem in closer. Monolith goes down, saving an Ice Golem for this back end Ricochet Cannon. As I said before, Ricochet Cannon is one of the most dangerous defenses in the game, and if you notice, that Fire Spitter up here towards 12 absolutely wrecked all of my healers. So the AQ should be strong and tanking everything and finishing off this base, but because the Fire Spitter killed the AQ healers, the AQ is now weak, and she will not be able to distract the defenses for the RC, so have to use the Skeleton spell. However, it's still going to swag 5 spells. This video is part of a playlist dedicated to this attack strategy, so make sure to check that out. Thanks for watching, guys, and catch you next time. Bye.